So my name is Andrey. I'm working on a P11 macromolecular crystallography beamline, and I'm going to walk you through the practices that we are of remote access of the facility. So a bit of introduction. DESY stands for Deutsches Elektronensynchrotron. It's located in Hamburg. It consists of several different facilities. We are talking about the P11, the big accelerator ring, and our P11 main hall, and we are basically sitting in this area. So remote access. So in our beamlines located in this part of the hall. When we talk about macromolecular crystallography, the well-developed method, we have actually at P11 3 MX beamlines dedicated for macromolecular crystallography. Two of them belongs to EMBL. One of them is our beamline P11, and method itself is, as I said, it's pretty well developed. So it has a long history, and also the samples themselves are quite fixed. So it's basically very, very small crystals, size of several, like 50, 100 microns. They are shipped normally in liquid nitrogen, and sample holders, data collection procedures are more or less established. So this is one of prerequisites for remote access to the users, in my opinion. So first, the users need to send their sample to the beamline, and later they can collect the samples remotely. They ship it in a shipment dewars filled with liquid nitrogen, and as I said, the size of the crystals are quite small, so we need to locate it. Currently, the shipment part is well, we cannot automatize it, but it's so it looks like that. So we have the entrance special area where the dewars are arriving and outgoing, and once we see the dewar arrives, the one can press the button is received in emails. There is a way to automatize the tracking and shipment procedures. It's part of the ISPIB and MX Cube implementation, on which I will talk a bit later. So, as I said, there are two different kind of views about how one should organize the remote access. And in this case, we're talking about remote access to the instrument itself and the data afterwards. So we need to have a physical control of the beamline, so the users can measure their samples in whatever order they want, in whatever way they want, and they also want to look at the data. If we give access for the users to the beamline, we should make sure that there's a sort of limited functionality, so to say, to this, so the users do not press wrong buttons. Of course, we need to manage all the stuff. And for the beamline scientists, it's also important to have a look to the session, what's happening there in case something goes wrong. And from the safety and user office perspective, user access needs to be also somehow ranked and well managed through one portal, possibly. Then about the technical implementation. At DESY, you have a Maxwell cluster, and it has by default a remote access option. It's made using so-called FastX software. It's commercial software, but license is it's available. And based on this solution, the remote access to P11 beamline was organized. So normally it's so to say kiosk mode access. Kiosk mode session in the sense of that it has, again, limited functionality in the sense of which programs you can run, but you can have but all important and necessary software is there installed. So, for example, the browser, the views of the beamline, the control software of the beamline, and so on. So it's everything you need to do your experiment remotely. I was talking about the user portal, and this is how it starts for our users. Go through the door, which stands for the DESY Online Office for Research with Photons, where you need to register yourself if you want to use infrastructure. And there are several different roles available to you. So I'm going to demonstrate how it looks first for the user perspective. So you normally receive an email for the remote session. So we have a planned beam times. They usually planned for 1 day, 2 days, and they are organized in shifts. One shift is 8 hours. It could be 3 shifts per day. So depends on the group, how many samples they have. They could be 2 groups per day, 1 group per day, or 1 group per several days. Depends. But once they have their beam time, they receive the nice email saying, okay, they are invited to follow the link, login themselves, and it's a very nice explanation on our webpage how for those who want to refresh their knowledge, they can go through and see what they need to do the remote access for P11. And here it's a small demonstration. So now I'm logged in as myself to the door with credentials. I select myself as a general user. For me, the other roles are available, but we are not interested in them anymore, not yet. And here you can see we have a remote sessions available to us. It's a test remote session. You can see it, and also you can also see the rest of the information that you need to do to be able to access the beamline. So you need to do the safety training and stuff like that. Once you did everything, you press start remote session. You use the same login as you used for the door, and it will open this FastX connection. You can choose whatever description you want. I put Andrey P11 test. For example, you have several users, you can select different names. It's also very convenient if there is a big user group, 5-6 people, they can interchangeably use the same remote session. And on top of the thing, you can see the list of the users. So it's by default is a default session name FastX. Then you can select yourself. Otherwise, you cannot control, which is a positive sign in the sense that you cannot damage someone's measurements if you are accidentally logged in and press some button without noticing it. You can also open the remote chat where you can type something, for example, to communicate with your beamline scientist or leave note when beam time is finished. You can open the beamline control software there, and basically from this point you are ready to go. You know, normally we inform users, or users ask us to put their samples in certain positions in the sample changer, and you can mount your sample and continue measurement normally. So for the running session, this is how it looks in real life. So this is a screencast of some remote session of user operation. You see the robot, they are mounting the samples in dimension crystals. Then they can select the normal experimental parameters. Users usually know what they want to measure and how they want to measure it. They center the sample to the beam, aligning it, and basically it doesn't differ much from the way if they would be sitting on the beamline. How things are working from the staff perspective. So it's a bit more things to do, but basically we need to put the samples in, prepare the beam time access token, and allow them to access it through the door. So for the beamline scientist, as I said, you can select your role as a beamline scientist through the same portal, which is quite nice. So let's go inside, and here you see another option which says manage beamline, manage remote access. Here I have a bit more of the available scheduled beam times. I select the one that we had before, and here you see this remote access session key that we create before the session starts, paste there, and once we save the session, user will receive the email that I already showed to you. So in this sense, if you want to see how users are doing, we have this option by clicking connect. we can choose different name, for example, beamline scientist here. So then we connect. It takes a bit of time, and in principle, we should go into the same session directly. Let's see whether it's true or not. Yep. Yes. Okay. So it's loading. And a good thing about that, that it's a browser solution, so users don't need to install anything. And yes, we see the same session as we looked before as a user. Again, if we want to type something, we can select the current user role as we logged in. So for the beamline scientist, and or try another one, but it will not work for the safety reasons. Yes. Okay, good. And yeah, basically, if there's something goes wrong, we can have a look what users were doing and fix something, or just type good luck. So, okay, good. And once it's established and users are measuring this, how it looks from the beamline. So we put a small note saying which date, who is the local contact, which shift it is, from 9, from 5, or the night shift, and who is the local contact. And basically up from that, hopefully nothing goes wrong, and once the users finished, they just logged out, and we take care about the samples. So I was talking about the tracking and this manual part of shipment and samples delivery. We're working on a solution. It has a name of iSpy-B database. It's a well-known and established product for macromolecular crystallography. It's well used on different synchrotrons. Original development was done at the ESRF in France, in the European Synchrotron Radiation Facility. And here is a small demo that we are working on currently. So it's a part of the remote access from my perspective, because it allows users to have a unified access to the process data. They don't need to log in through to P11 session per se. They can log in whatever time they want into this database, even after the beam time, have a look on the data that they collected. They can prepare the shipments themselves, including printing the slips with addresses, and they can receive the email notifications when the viewer has arrived. And of course, if you have a lot of samples, it's much easier to import them using for example, CSV table and things like that. So it's a work in progress, and hopefully we will make this available to the users next year. So as a summary, remote access is available for any user group who's using P11 beamline at DESY. DOOR is a main user management portal. It's a DESY-wide portal for infrastructure access. And so no additional software is needed from the user part, which is nice. They can use their browser to log in, and hopefully at some point we will implement the iSpy-B database for them to ease up the shipment procedures. Then it would be even more nice. And with that, I would like to thank my group and also DESY IT and beamline support infrastructure, and our users who are happily using also the remote access for P11. And thank you for your attention.